for June 3rd. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Thank you, John. Second, Doug? Any additions, deletions, corrections, omissions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay.
You're up, Alex.
It's very simple this month, you guys. I just have one resolution request, and that is to delete the outstanding taxes on 6 state-owned parcels in the town of Chester. These parcels were purchased in April of 2013. The state of New York sets their own assessments, so, they're only gonna pay on what they approve. So, these values that were on there were values from the prior owner, which was the Nature Conservancy, which was wholly exempt. So when the state got them, they went into what is called Rural Section 3, which is state-owned land. So they had to approve assessments. If you look, there is attachments, that does show the assessed value, and some of them they did change. And if you notice, like on the second one, it says that it was an assessed value of $307,500, but that was only for county, town, and fire, not for school. So, it wasn't approved any assessment for school, so they didn't pay any of that. And then the next one down, the county and town's assessment was changed to $73,255, whereas fire had an assessment of $142,300. And again, they didn't approve anything on the school assessments. So, and then there is 2 on the second page that were completely put into Roll Section 8, wholly exempt, so there is no tax being paid on them at all. So, because of the timing of the year, the state automatically goes into their exemption status when they purchase. However, the roll was already there with other numbers on it, so these numbers have been changed, caused tax bills to go out, therefore we have to delete the taxes and, charge them back to the entities.
Explain it one more time.
I know, sorry, I'm late.
It's called Welcome Stranger.
State of New York almost, you might as well say, they set their own assessments is what they do, and they're not gonna pay on more than that. They're only gonna pay on an approved assessment. So, in the case of these ones, if we go back to the pages, the state would pay on the assessment on the first parcel for the county, town, and fire, but they did not approve an assessment for the school. So they didn't pay the school portion. They paid the county, the town, and the fire. However, we need to delete the $225.17 for school, and then there's also a penalty that gets put on because of the re-levy that has to come off as well. So that's the way it is if you look at the whole entire thing. The column all the way to the right is the amount of taxes that have to be deleted, but the state of New York only pays on their approved assessments. And in New York State, real property tax law 5, I've got it here, give me 2 seconds. 532A, it is, these properties are what they say, they weren't wild and forest, because the property was being leased, as a whole. So if they had broken out the property, say where the camp was, into like a separate parcel, then it would have been able to, they could have paid it. But because it wasn't wild and forest, they're not gonna pay, because it was being leased as a whole, not as just a portion.
I'm just that one parcel at the end of the,
Well,
Hudson River.
on all of these is the law that applies to all of these parcels. So, and they've gone through and they've just, the state does this every year. The state does values their own, we get a list, tentative list, and then we get a final approved list from them, and they set their state-owned land values. So then each town, if for some reason they change, then they have to be changed in the town file in order for us to produce the bills. However, again, like I said, because of the timing of when the sale happened, the files had already been created, so this stuff was already on the tax roll. Therefore, a September school bill went out, and it would go out, but they're not gonna pay it if they didn't approve those values. The state only pays on what they approve.
So, for example, on this
119
119-2-1,
correct?
the second one down,
Mhm,
we had it assessed for 310,300.
correct,
And the state says, no, we think it's only worth 307,500.
correct, for county, town, and fire. They didn't even approve an assessed value for school.
Why is school separate assessment?
It's because that's the way the state does it. They
mean,
set their, I guess I should have brought a copy of one of the state
A piece
only.
of property is a certain value, period, right?
Well, you can argue with the state of New York if you'd like, because it's not gonna get me anywhere to do that, but Mike's raising his hand.
Just to give you a little history on this, okay?
Yeah,
so
we're
you
afraid of
understand
that.
when all this happened. Back in the eighties, the state did actually say to the local assessor, this is what you will put on as an assessment. There was an assessor out in the middle part of the state, I don't remember the town that he was from. They filed a lawsuit against the state saying that that was unconstitutional, and won. Hooray, okay? But what happened after that was, the state said, okay, this is our recommended assessment. If you don't use our recommended assessment, we're going to sue you. Ask the town of Thurman how that worked out. Stony Creek had some problems with that. Yeah, and you lost, basically. Yeah, you got a settlement, but you made that up sometime. Yeah. So, in essence, the law says, and the court decision says that the local assessor has the authority to put on the assessment, but they're carrying the big club. And if you don't agree with them, they're gonna take you to court.
And even if you do not put their value on, they're only gonna pay on their approved value that they set. So if you set that and stuck with that 310.3, that's why in this column here, this is all that they paid. So that's why in the, all the way to the right column is the amount that has to be deleted, because that's the difference that they did not pay on that particular parcel.
Yeah, I just don't understand why it's different for county and then different for fire and.
There's a lot of them that are that way, that they don't even have a value. They set values for just certain things. So if you look through, it's just on a lot of them for just county and town in the special district of fire.
But even, it could
And
be
then
different.
some of them, it would just be just for fire, and there wouldn't be a county and town assessment. Another one, there would be just a school assessment and not the rest of them.
Let the record show that Mr. Conover is finally here. Chairman?
I have a question. What puzzles me about it, will they eventually pay any school tax, or are they just saying, no, we're not paying school tax?
If they're not putting a value on it, then no, they will not pay on those particular parcels.
They're
No,
saying
they
they're
don't have
exempt.
any.
Strange.
They're saying they're exempt
You don't have any
From
kids in
school
school.
taxes.
on certain parcels, yes. Some of them, they actually set a value for school. In some of the towns, there's more than one school district in them, so there might be parcel that this parcel would have Warrensburg School District,
Right.
and this parcel would have, it's,
Can I just address Frank? Does this happen a lot on school district, Frank? Because I've never seen it where they've exempted one entity from taxes. I mean, I've seen where they've lowered them and set a new value, but I didn't know, I mean,
I could have brought in
Is it
a.
exempt going forward on everything?
No, they
Just the
pay,
school.
just on that particular
That
parcel,
common?
they're exempt on school.
I haven't seen that before either.
Sure, they do it, and then especially like even with like their transitions and aggregates,
Yeah.
those they'll only pay on this particular parcel just to get you extra money, they will pay just on a school district. A different school district on this parcel, and on this parcel they'll pay town at one value, and another parcel they'll pay county at a different value.
so let me
So-
ask you, so they didn't pay, so the
They-
school district doesn't have to refund anything, right?
They do, because we made the school district whole,
Oh,
so then
okay.
what
So-
we
so
do
now
is,
the school district's gotta refund and.
that's why I'm asking to be able to charge back to those proper entities, so that we can get our money back that we paid to the school for making them whole.
Claudia, do you still have a question?
No, thank you.
Anybody else, anything? Yes.
I have one, so on the ones that are wholly exempt, I see here on Warren County GIS, it's like right along the shoreline. Do you know why those are wholly exempt?
I do not.
Because all these are along the Hudson River,
My guess is, okay,
between the
They were
Southwest
stuff that
area.
Nature Conservancy used to have and the state took them over.
the state makes a determination if the property is forest land, they pay taxes on it. If it's public
Like
use
on,
land,
as a 480
they do
or?
not pay.
Okay.
All right, so if they got
Being along
park,
the river, it could be recreational.
river access type of things that the public is going to be using for recreational purposes, those are tax exempt.
Okay.
All right, based on the state law, right? If it's forest land, they pay taxes on it.
On the 480 or 488?
Well, 480A, that's an exemption for
For
private.
private people.
Okay.
But you're right,
So-
that kind of valuation.
But, yeah, it's valued, okay. Thank you.
Is everybody totally confused?
Sorry.
Any more questions?
I'm not confused, the state makes the rules.
There
they
you
do.
go.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, nothing, complain. Is everybody else set for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, and I just have one quick other thing.
I'll make the motion.
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
We didn't get a motion? All right, let's back up. Claudia,
I second.
second. John's made the motion. Try it again. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Glad to pass the second time.
One other quick thing that I don't have on here, I just wanted to let you all know that as of June 1st, I went through our, petition, and we have still 296 parcels on. People are coming in quite regular, though, to pay, so we're hoping to see that number drop drastically.
How many did we have when we had the, first, the last chance meeting, we call it, or whatever? You know, how many parcels did we have?
Last year, there was like
30,
34-ish
So you
in
think,
that ballpark.
and I know this is just a guess, but
Maybe
you
a
think
little more.
we're on track for that amount again, or does
Hard
it
to
look like
say.
it? It's hard to say, okay.
It's hard to say, and with things being bumped off a month, people have an extra month now to pay, so, it's really hard to say.
It's cheap money. A lot of people, businesses that are tourist oriented or put it off as long as they can, start generating some cash.
And, I mean, bear in mind, Mike and I'll be back out probably in July, we normally go in June, but we'll be out in July posting ones that didn't answer the petition, and so that tends to bring some people in too, when we go out and post those properties. And then after the last day to redeem, which is gonna be August 12th this year, we go out and post a foreclosure notice on anybody that hasn't paid at that point, and that definitely prompts people to call to say, hey, can I come to that last chance meeting, or hey, is it too late for me to pay? And at that point, I would then be speaking quite frequently with the chairman of the committee to see what we can do to help people out at that point.
Doug?
Yeah, I'd just like to make one other comment. I've been very proud of this committee in the fact that we allow people with that last chance meeting, and we are very compassionate on circumstances with different people who just are trying like heck, and we don't take their land. And the example I use is this Mr. Mosher. Now, I knew he was behind 5 or 6 times, and he kept promises, but the point is, he came in at 5 o'clock or something on that very last day, and he was able to get the money. And those are stories I think that the county should be proud of how accommodating we are within the law, within the guidelines of the law, so.
Good point.
We're already working with people already, trying to advise them in directions to go to try to help themselves so that we don't see them lose their homes. You know, reaching out to Office for the Aging. I mean, Office for the Aging, there's a lot of services out there that you can go through Office of the Aging, but they don't have a lot of funds to help people, and there is no funds to help people when it comes to taxes. But there is suggestions that can be made and guidance to people to help them maybe manage their money a little bit better. you know, insurance and stuff like that. So, you know, have already started working with people to try to help them.
Thank you.
And I would like to, there is an attorney locally that has done some pro bono work on helping people get, reverse mortgages, seniors, to help them get out of these tax troubles. So, I mean, that's, you know, there are people out there that are trying to make this work to help. Like I said, I think you're working on one right now.
Okay. Somebody had their hand up. Peter?
I just had a quick question on foreclosed properties, you know, City of Glens Falls, somebody goes into a nursing home, all of a sudden you get behind, series of liens, get in place, houses looking bad for the neighborhood, bad for, so we have a number of liens that are on the property, we have a series of, maybe, whether it be county, whether it be city, whether it be, a Medicaid lien, the Medicaid lien, in your experience, is there any flexibility in attempting to negotiate that number, to get it to a point where the property, is sold to a good person, they then clean it up, hopefully improve the neighborhood?
The City of Glens Falls handles all their own foreclosures. We don't have anything to do with their foreclosures. However, there has been houses, back, I know when Win Varnum used to be the resource unit manager over in social services. Some of those houses, when Glens Falls gets involved, I know Ed Bartholomew tends to be involved, and we have gone down and, you know, done inspections on homes, given them values, and I know they have sold some, that social services has a lien against them, and social services has been willing to take less. They have worked with them to sell the house, get it back out on the tax roll, let somebody try to revamp the house and, you know, make it livable, or revamp it and sell it to somebody so that it is back on as a positive. So, I mean, there is a lot. I mean, you know, nobody wants to just take somebody's house and sell it, you know. I know, at least here, we try to work with the people, and I would assume in the city they would do the same thing. Even if there is liens, those lien holders are all noticed in the foreclosure process. So they do have a right to come in and they could pay the taxes. They're not gonna take ownership for paying the taxes, but it would save grace for them to maybe go into a foreclosure process against the people that own it themselves.
Mr. Chairman?
I have one thing for the environmental portion of this committee. Tom Sedgwick, who is an environmentalist, who monitors Lake George, has been emailing me about the condition of the lake up by Diamond Point Beach. So I've been conversing with Dennis, and Dennis has reached out to Mr. Sedgwick, and he's sending emails out, and he's also been in contact with Dave Wick on these emails. So there's a series of them. He sends them out periodically, but I didn't want the committee not to know that he's concerned about the condition of the lake, and Dennis has stepped in, and I think he's frustrated because it's been going on for a long time, but the town of Lake George is aware of it and has been acting on it. So I just wanna, in case anybody's asked, and you can say you never heard of it, it's Diamond Point Beach, yes.
What is the issue? Is it,
Green water, green algae, or I'm not an environmentalist, so I'll defer to Dennis. Well, he's a conservationist, but he's.
But it's not like trash, it's
Oh, no, it's
like,
the condition of the lake, it's like,
water
maybe
quality.
septic systems,
okay.
and he's very passionate about it. If you've ever met the gentleman, he's very passionate about the condition of Lake George, so, and Dave Wick is responding to him, and the Fund for Lake George, I think they are responding, but Dennis, you may want to.
I did talk to him. He's at the point of frustration where he's non-receiving. I talked to him for we had a 20-minute phone conversation I spoke about too. He's worried about the environment, and he has some environmental background, and he's come in with complaints about neighbors who have suspicious looking pipes in their yard, and it's been all over the board, but he's been around a long time. I know, both of them, he and his wife, and there are some concerns, but he's not, I explained that the town has a sewer initiative. We're very active in the sewer initiative. It's a program to, upgrade, on-site in-place, sewage septic systems. We have grants, we have a program. It's not fast enough for him. He wants it now. And, he's all right.
He is, but I just didn't want anybody on the environmental committee not to know that this gentleman has concern, and it mostly centers around Diamond Point Beach, that I am understanding.
It's a good point. He's contacted everybody. I think he's even contacted Jerry Solomon.
Like to hear that conversation.
Okay, anybody else have anything? Anybody in the public privilege of the floor? Don, you got anything you wanna throw in? Oh, okay.
I second that.
Yeah, it's supposed to rain. Yeah. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Thank you.
That was a good point.
He'll say,